hopeful, regardless of the outcome. Boost the positive energy without one. Sorry about the jab, I'm on a holy field. I'm bearing fruit, but demons try to eat them like Yoshi meals. I pissed them off the Batman like Falcone deals. Jungle full of predators, I know how Mowgli feels. So I got the fire, refuse to live in fear. I can spot suppliers, eating fresh drugs. Call me private label, I be leaving breadcrumbs.
Sorry, just a little bit sidetracked here. We had a little intruder. Yeah, welcome to episode 285 of the Permaculture Pimpcast, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion. So no more of the nasty little letters saying, I can't believe you're a pimp and you got some hoe on there with you. Yeah.
They didn't say that.
Okay, maybe not that part, but you know it's coming. You know it's coming. I guarantee it. It's just a matter of time. All right, the only Pimpcast on planet Earth where we...
It's so funny.
Because I guarantee it's coming.
No, nobody's going to say that.
I guarantee it's
they're
coming.
not.
Yeah, we'll be at another homestead meeting and somebody, oh, you're the pimp. Oh, you must be the hoe. Yeah, you know it's coming. I guarantee it. Some freak is always going to do that.
I will die laughing if somebody comes up to us and says that.
You better say it nicely. All right, this episode, as always, brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap from twooldcrowshomestead.com.
Turn that simp into a pimp.
Bam! Pimps in the house, just like my boys, the Homestead Twins. Hey, if you haven't checked them out, y'all go over there, check them out. You're going to be glad you did. All right, if you want to tip a pimp, go check out the Living Soil Foundation. It's a foundation we started for the express purpose of cleaning up Western North Carolina. We kind of had to put the brakes on things as of late because you can't spray when it's sub-zero. So we're going to get back to it this week and, hopefully start getting out more content on that. And I'm supposed to meet with the owners tomorrow to talk more about designs and stuff like that. So moving the ball on that. And I'm hoping to kick off some other projects as well with all the donations that came in. Waiting to hear back from a couple of other people. And I'm looking, in all honesty, yeah, we're having some sound difficulties here. In all honesty, I am seriously looking forward. I think we're good. I think we're seriously looking for us. Look, finding people on the left side of the equation is not difficult here, but finding people on the right, that's a little more difficult. So that's who the next project we're going to be working with. And I got reasons for that. I'll come to that perhaps at another time. Well, we're going to jump right into it. And I got to tell y'all right off the bat, and I hope to do a like a picture. What do you call that? A community thing on YouTube or yeah, whatever that is. Yeah, the post on YouTube and also on X of I talked about Two Old Crows Homestead, y'all. I got to say, man, today's been one of those days for both of us, but I'm telling you what, put the jam in my jelly roll was seeing that picture that Shelly from Two Old Crows Homestead sent. And that picture is, I've taught a number of butchery classes in the past, and I would say there might be one out of every class I do, if even that many sometimes, that ever go on to do their own classes. And man, I'm telling you what, she sent this picture of her over here breaking down a pig and showing, and got a whole gang of others, some big burly milk boys standing around that table, and she's showing them how to get it done. And y'all, I got to say that was just the joy of my day. And I hope to put out a community post tomorrow because, there's so many people that are in this space that are more polished than spit and more glitter than grit. And when you come across people, and you do, that's one cool thing about going to these festivals and stuff like that, because that's where I met Shelly. And William had met her and her husband, Randy, a while before doing a consultation. And folks, there were, I've had other students in classes, send me pictures of them teaching classes, but this one, of all the ones ever sent to me, man, just gave me the most joy because, and folks, if you're looking for a side hustle, man, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Keep your ears peeled because coming up real soon with Renewed Homestead, they're going to be putting on they're going to have a processing out there, but it's going to be like a processing you've never seen before because you're going to walk away. Typically with processings, you don't walk away with anything except the knowledge. But as I understand it, I believe they're going to kind of change the paradigm a bit and start throwing in some meat. So, You don't often see that. I mean, when it comes from the point of view of an educator, you just don't see that many people that take the information you gave them and then they run away with it, and they do it in a massive way. So, hat tip to Two Old Crows Homestead. Go check out their YouTube channel. Hopefully they put up a video of them doing that. But I mean, I haven't had a chance to look, folks. I haven't even had a chance to watch my own videos. That's how busy we were around here. But today's been one of those days where they've been dropping that junk from the sky, and it was all I could do just to put one foot in front of the other. I mean, give me a holler if you hear me in the chat, y'all. I mean, you were feeling the same exact way.
Yeah, I was. I have tired, but also
Cantankerous.
My attitude is not very good today.
Yeah, I'm glad you tell them.
I told you.
How about telling your man who you? Oh, by the way, y'all, the 20th, the day they swore in the latest puppet, that just happened to be our 30th wedding anniversary. So, yeah, 30 years. That's a long, long time. And here's to another 30. So yeah, usually I'd make a video about something like that. But yeah, 30 years, man. It just seems like, and honestly, my plan was to do something like really, really special, like take her to Europe or something, or go to Italy, someplace we've been wanting to go forever and a day. And it just doesn't seem like the best time in the world to do it. I mean, with all the dumb stuff going on and this and that and this, it just didn't seem like it made any sense. So we're going to have to save that for another time. And plus, we ain't the Rockefellers, so we got to save for such things. But we, by and large, we live a pretty frugal life for the most part. But yeah. Anyway, 30 years. Sorry, folks, I didn't mean to open up so many threads there, but let me go back to the butchery thing. Anyway, Renewed Homestead, we don't have the details all worked out just yet. But like I said, they're about to, we're going to have a class out there. I'll be teaching it, me and Ben. And Michelle and I'm sure Denise are probably going to be handling the grub side of things. So folks, you eat well at these things. But the best part of all these things is just the fellowship that you have with all the people that are there, people you can relate to. And, it's a beautiful location, notwithstanding the fact that we're going to take some life. And if you want to put meat on the table, that's what you got to do. And we're going to do it the most respectful way you know how. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that, because it's going to be one you don't want to miss. So, yeah, anyway, so some of the things that I had on the docket today, I don't think I got to really much of it. I really don't think I got to much of it. And honestly, folks, I mean, I hate to sound like a broken record here, but man, I think it has a lot to do with what's dropping out of these skies.
Yeah, I think for me, that's it. It seems, number one, yes, I think it is what's dropping out of the skies, because it's not. It's like whenever you think you're going to get some sun, they start spraying and then it gets blocked out, which is also this time of year. This time of year, I struggle anyway, and then when they start blocking out the sun and it's ridiculously cold next year, I'm hibernating.
No,
I'm not. I can't do this, and I can't do winter.
Or maybe we just go look for property down in El Salvador or something like that. Michelle, why don't we lower your mic? You're looking like you look like you're a rapper in like the 80s, like
in what?
You're holding your mic like yo 1 2 1 2. You got your mic over here
because I don't want it in my way.
I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, it looks like it's all in your way. I'm like, you look like a rapper, like you're Run DMC or something.
Yes,
like you're part of.
That's exactly who I am.
Yeah, like Salt and Pepper, but white version of it. But yeah, I was like, do you know this thing is like blocking you?
No, I had it to the side.
No, I'm looking at you on the screen.
Okay.
But anyway, it's all good. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot of that dumb stuff. And folks, I've had record numbers of people emailing me, sending me pictures of the skies where they are. And I'm talking all around the planet, because I mean, that's one of the cool things about doing a program like this is that we're hearing from people all over the world. And I don't care. You name a place on the planet and people are writing to me and they're showing me pictures. They're sending pictures of their skies. So, folks, if you don't mind, continue to do that. I'll try to put a little collage or something together that I can put on YouTube. I know I sound like a broken record on this, but man, this thing is getting on my last nerve because, for a while there, people were smelling bleach. They were smelling burnt rubber. They were smelling all this stuff. And then you have people like Dr. Robert Young, who tested some of this stuff. He was on Man in America podcast, and he captured some of this stuff and tested it. Guess what it is? Yep, you guessed it, nanobots. That's exactly what they were. I mean, go listen to the program yourself. The world famous Dr. Robert Young is basically saying this is that fog that everybody saw. That's exactly what's in it. They are using us as friggin' guinea pigs. And I'm sitting here wondering why on earth is this not the number one thing? Just like Dane Wigington talks about at Geoengineering Watch, you would think this would be the number one thing you would worry about if you came into the presidency. But I'll come to that after a while. And some of you are probably not going to like me after tonight. And based on some of the things I posted as of late, hey, if you're going to unsubscribe, there's no need to tell me. And if you're unsubscribing for the reasons you say, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. You will not manipulate me. In fact, the thing that I detest most of all people is when you think you're going to manipulate me, I will go the opposite just because I know you're trying to manipulate me. So that's not going to happen. And I detest it. So for all the people out there thinking you're going to do that, I got news for you. Okay, folks, let me give you the latest biohack and some of the, okay, I didn't realize how long it would take to get Michelle on board. We've had these glasses for a while. No, I'm giving you credit. I mean, now you have to admit that when we try something new, I mean,
it depends on what it is.
Yeah, if she doesn't see immediate results,
you know how many things. Okay, let me just clarify this. I have tried so many things. I have tried supplements. 90% of them are garbage and don't do anything. And also, let me just remind you, a lot of this stuff done is tested on men. Women are not men, in case anybody needs that news flash. So when Mark Sisson says something, that's nice. I'll listen to it and I'll try it. But just because he says it doesn't make it gospel. If Andrew Huberman says something, it doesn't make it gospel either. And it might work for men, but that doesn't mean it works for women.
Okay. I think in 30 years, I've never once mistaken you for a man.
No, I'm just saying, like, a lot of these things. For example, let me give an example. Mark Sisson says sprinting does not it does not cause hunger. Yes, it does. I have been sprinting for a long, long time. Every time I sprint, within the next 24 hours, I will be starving. Okay. That's just one example.
No, I'm not saying look, okay, first of all, let me just set the record straight. Woman, you got more curves than a goat pass. And I'm not even, okay, so never once have I ever mistaken you for a man. Not this man. Anyway, hang on. Just hang on. Don't go full Shaniqua on me just yet. No, the thing I'm getting at is that usually I'm like, okay, give something a week or whatever. But anyway, you've been really good about these glasses as of late. And it's one of my big frustrations sometimes with her is I'm like, can you give it more than a couple of days before you say it ain't working? And it was, and I'm going to recommend a lot of you out there check out his work. I'm going to try to get him on the podcast. Now, I'll tell you what, it ain't going to be one of those ones you want the kids listening in on, but I'm going to try to get Dr. Jack Cruz on here. And it's some of his protocol that we're working on. And part of it involves these red light glasses. In a nutshell, everything from the tablets, your phones, all these things out there, folks, if you examine his work, I've been going on about this guy because I have seen the biggest problem I've had in all the biohacks that I'm working on is my sleep. I think a lot of thoughts, and I'm sure like everybody's saying, yeah, okay, what's new? My brain works when it probably ought not to be. And it's usually hard for me to kind of get into a rhythm. And then when I get to sleep, I'm waking up a couple of times. I will say, ever since I've been, and I have, folks, you would not believe the fastidious compliance that I've had with making sure, because there are not apps, but there's things you can do. For example, this iPad, hit the button 3 times and it goes red.
But you have to program it though, right? It doesn't just
Well,
automatically do that.
I can't even remember how we did it, but
if you do a search, you can, like, on how to do the red setting on your phone or your iPad, it'll pop up.
Right. Now, folks, you have no idea how much of a change it's been. Like the lights in your house, the lights in this studio, all of it is designed. It's all blue lights. And this is totally in my wheelhouse as an electrician. Now, once I started examining his work and then the work of Dr. Cowan, I'm coming to this conclusion. I'm like, hold on, man. Every single thing, ever since Obama got rid of incandescent lights back in 2008, I was like, at the time it happened, I was like, this is stupid. It makes no sense. And then all of a sudden we made everything digital. I didn't know, of course, I was out of the matrix regarding a lot of things, but you know how when you live and learn, other things kind of come into play. And then you realize that the reason why they have these LCD bulbs, and the reason they tell you it's energy savings. Look, like I said, I'm a journeyman electrician with a whole lot of experience out there, folks. I will tell you emphatically that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, because your number one power, if you're worried about saving energy on a house, you'll start with the dryer, okay? 240 volt. You'll start with your oven, and unless these things are gas, but by and large, most people are not using gas in these things. Your HVAC systems, your ovens, things that have giant resistors in them. Light bulbs are the least, it's about 2% of your power usage in most houses, okay? That's what it accounts for. So for them to say that, oh, we're going to give you these LCD bulbs, well, the real reason is that when you had full spectrum light bulbs, you had the entire range of that spectrum. And it's important that you have those things. But when you're focused on a blue light, the only time you ever get blue light from the sun is when the sun is at the highest. The blue light from the sun is the highest. You're getting all the spectrums, but you're getting mostly blue when it's at high noon, let's say. Now think about this. All of these bulbs, all of these tablets, all of these things, all of these computers, even though they had the technology to do otherwise, they didn't. They intentionally left it blue because it makes you more susceptible, okay? And also, it's screwing up your circadian rhythm. So I said, okay, let me give this a shot. So I've been wearing the glasses, as you well know, in this podcast, but I'm like, okay, now that I've been putting more of the pieces together, I'm like, okay, let me put this thing on red and let's see what happens. Like the screen I just showed you a moment ago. Did the same thing with my phone. And then making sure when the sun goes down, I go from the yellow tinted glasses, because if I'm anywhere around these things or these light bulbs or anything during the day, I got on yellow tint. And then when it turns night, I go to red, like you see us wearing right now. Folks, I'm telling you what, I can't remember the last time every once in a while I'll have decent sleep, but I've never done it consecutively. Night after night after night after night after night, after doing this protocol, it's on another level, and it seems to be getting better. So I want to impart that out there. Look, I don't mean to take the whole program and talk about this stuff, but folks, the powers that shouldn't be hate you. They hate your family. They hate your kids. And there's a reason why Steve Jobs and Bill Gates wouldn't allow their kids to play on any of these tablets or phones until they were about 14 years old. You ever wonder why? You ever see the experiments that they've done with incandescent light bulbs and children in classrooms, and then all of a sudden they open the windows, turn the lights off, and all of a sudden the kids behave? How about that? Yeah. If you check out the work, and I've been like I said, I was at a group this weekend, the Homestead meetup, and I told everybody in the room about what we're discovering regarding some of this stuff. I'm not sure how many of them, cared or otherwise. You never know. I mean, or how many are going to do anything with it. But folks, I'm telling you what, my sleep is on another level ever since checking out the work of Dr. Cruz, making sure you get that sunlight, which I've been talking about forever and a day, but he's giving you the scientific reasons that mainstream science doesn't want you to know about. So folks, I highly encourage you, go out there, Get the morning sun, all the other biohacks that we've talked about. Maybe I can put this stuff. I'm going to try to get these folks on the program. A lot of them are tough to get a hold of. And like I said, if I get Dr. Cruz on here, like I said, if you got a problem with somebody saying some, knocking mothballs off of words that you don't necessarily use in public, that may be one you want to skip, or make sure the kids ain't around because.
Well, I don't think he cusses that much, does he? He's just very direct.
No, well.
Oh, does he? I don't remember.
I don't know how many. Okay, I guess you haven't listened to many of his podcasts.
I've listened to him. I just didn't write down the number of times he.
Well, I'm not going to let myself not hear valuable information because somebody, and like I said, if you understood the history of profanity, you'd realize it's not all that profane. It's what the elite came up with to protect themselves. But that's another podcast altogether. But folks, I'm telling you what, there's a reason we're wearing these glasses. I mean, it's not to be cute or anything like that. But if you check out his work, I promise you, your life will improve. I think immeasurably. I really do. Because that was the one thing I'm like, man, I just can't seem to get down. Is my sleep. And then I realized, okay, you're fooling around with these stupid iPads. You're looking at incandescent lights. And if you're doing all these things, folks, it is you're screwing up your biology in a massive way. And the awful thing about this is that they knew this well before 2008. And okay, somebody's going to say, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. Well, first of all, let me just say, can you say the word conspiracy without adding theory to it? Because Americans have been programmed you can't say one without the other. So, yeah, we can just say conspiracy because that's exactly what it is. The more research I look in, the more research I actually examine myself and I look into it, yes, it is a conspiracy. And it's meant to keep you on the dole of the system out there. So give it a shot and find out how it works for you. Okay, so before we move into the next segment, folks, I look, there's a number of people out there that are in a bad way. I think I briefly talked about it. Dr. Will got a hold of me. Did I say it on the podcast? What he mentioned? Dr. Will?
I don't remember.
Probably not.
I don't remember.
I'll try to be brief on this, but anyway, Michelle and I had talked about meeting up with these firefighters that were over near Lake Douglas, and these firefighters were basically burned through their chemical suits, despite the fact that everybody was telling you, hey, there was nothing wrong in this area. We've been around that road. You know the story. Well, recently they've had like 9 people die within 5 miles of that station, and none of them were jabbed. None of them had any previous health concerns. They just died suddenly. And, there's a lot of suspicion that there's a lot of nasty stuff around that place. Of course, the powers that shouldn't be aren't going to touch it, and everybody out there is going to call us a conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theorists. Well, there's a lot of other people out there, right? It's like everybody I know practically at some point in time recently has been sick, and a lot of it has been around this fog. But there's a lot of others that are sick with other things like turbo cancers and a number of others. And folks, my friend out there, Steve, and his wife, Michelle, they're going through some serious stuff, folks. I'm just going to ask you to please put them in your prayers. She's dealing with, I don't know to what extent I should go into it, but let's just say she's dealing with a nasty diagnosis, okay? And, they're part of this whole family, this whole tribe that we all are right here. Whether you meet these folks at events or whether you meet them online, that's one cool thing about these events when I'm able to put a name to a face, like, oh, I saw you in the chat. Like, let's say I come across Pete the Squatchy, and then I meet you in person. Well, there's this connection, and I got that same thing with Steve and his wife. And I had the joy of meeting them, Steve, more than once. So anyway, keep them in your prayers, y'all, and just pray that the Lord gives them miraculous healing. We've been praying for him every night. Pray for Pastor Lon. He's still got a lot of stuff going on. And folks, look, pray for each other. Pray for everybody in this chat. And pray for us. Because the powers that shouldn't be, man, there's some really awful things going on here. A lot of them we don't talk about. When I say awful, I mean when they're taking down videos of Barbara O'Neill, and then when I'm hearing stories about other people that have, YouTube channels with, let's say, almost 1 million subscribers, and they're demonetizing these people, or, like I said, I'm good at seeing patterns. I'm really good at seeing patterns. And the pattern I'm seeing is that anybody that has any legit healing modality, they are either putting the brakes on it, giving you strikes, doing whatever, which makes me suspect that maybe the next big thing that's about to come down the pike is probably going to be health related, because they don't want you knowing how to heal yourself or take care of yourself in any kind of way. But anyway, keep Steve and Michelle in your prayers, and also their family. They got young children, and like I said, we're praying for them every single night, and we're praying for all you guys as well. So please pray for us. All right. So Wave Watch, you know, that watch I'm usually wearing. It's, you know, downstairs getting charged up right now. Billy 100 will get you actually $150 off right now. They're running a little special. I'm not sure how much longer it's going to go, but Wave, W-A-V, there is no E at the end of Wave Watch. Anyway, if you're looking for those solfeggio tones, healing frequencies and stuff like that, well, that's a good way to go about it. And that thing is the shiznit. So Billy 100 will get you $100 off there. Coming up, March 18th through the 22nd, Shalom Temple is going to have that 5-day immersion event. And Barbara O'Neill's going to be there. Jonathan Otto's going to be there. We're going to be there. Mike the Fit Farmer is going to be there. A lot of other people are going to be there. Jax is going to be there, who's putting it on. And by the way, folks, when I said they are playing games and they're doing some stuff, folks, if you only knew what they were doing to Jax right now to keep her from putting this event on. I mean, they're messing with her email. They're messing with her business.
She told me today that she's got somebody impersonating her in one of the groups she's a part of too.
Yep. I mean, every 30 Ways to Sunday, y'all, the powers that shouldn't be are doing everything they can, which, by the way, is the enemy, is doing everything they possibly can to keep this event from happening. And they're doing everything to put the brakes on it. So,
also, before you get off of that, I'll put the link in the show notes, but groups of 10 or more get 25% off. So it can be, the word she used with me was like a service group. So if you're part of a church, any type of service organization, fire department, anything like that, if you have a group of 10 or more, you'll get 25% off, and veterans get 15% off. If you have a group of vets, 10 or more, then you get 25% off.
All right. Well, that sounds like a deal and a half. And folks, I'm telling you, they are playing games like nothing I've ever seen before with her. And, you know, messing with the payment processors, messing with the videos. You know, Mike the Fit Farmer puts out a video with Barbara O'Neill. I mean, you put out anything with Barbara O'Neill, folks, it usually blows up. And they are putting the absolute brakes on everything. So if you can be a part of it, you're going to be glad you did, because everything they don't want me to do is exactly what I'm going to do in every way imaginable. All right. Also coming up May 2nd through the 4th, mountainreadiness.com. They got their event, and I can't remember the town that it's nearby, but go to mountainreadiness.com, and it's here in North Carolina, but it's about the midway through near Statesville. And I'm telling you what, if you want to go out to get some serious skills on, that's the place to get it done. So, I mean, they got everything from SEALs, Delta Force, Green Berets, Sappers, Rangers, Force Recon, you name it. But it's not like a event. There's a lot of ladies out there doing stuff as well and teaching classes. It's, like I said, it's the best event you don't yet know about in terms of your education and things you can learn there. So go check it out. All right, y'all, Redemption Shield, 10% off with promo code PERMA. Look, I'm G'd up from the feet up. And it all starts with those grounding mats at Redemption Shield. So if you need anything over there, Perma will get you 10% off. So let's jump right into the good news here. And right off the bat, federal court strikes down warrantless FISA. Backdoor searches is unconstitutional. Okay, okay, that's good news. Okay, I think we can all agree that that's good news. The fact that it was even in there is a blatant violation of the Fourth Amendment. You know, illegal searches and seizures. And by the way, folks, go read the Bill of Rights for yourself, the first 10 amendments, okay? It is handcuffs for the government and what they are not allowed to do. I just don't understand why that's so difficult for people to understand. But anyway, I'm going to call that one good news. Yeah, it just blows my mind that this even has to be legislated. All right, next good news story. Trump preparing to deport 1.5 million illegal immigrants paroled and let into the country by Biden. Look, I've been very critical of Trump as of late. And you know what? He deserves every bit of it. And folks, I'm only getting started. In fact, I've put on kid gloves. If you're paying attention, unless you're getting your news from Fox News, you don't really know what's going on. And please, if you are watching Fox News, fixed news as I call it, or faux news, whatever you want to call it, if you're watching news over there, folks, if you're listening to people like that sold out shill Dan Bongino, I'm telling you what, you are being lied to. Anyway, point being, and like I said, I'm going to drop some more hammers on Trump, and I'm going to tell you that there's a tactical reason for doing it. Anyway, I'm going to give him a thumbs up for this one, deporting 1.5 illegals that are not supposed to be here. You notice how things change. They used to be illegal aliens when I was a kid. Then they're illegal migrants. And then they were undocumented workers. Okay. Okay, so he says 1.5 million. Well, last estimates I saw, there was somewhere in the neighborhood of about 30 million illegal folks here. But hey, you got to start somewhere. So I'm going to give him a mulligan on that one. And yeah, I mean, this is what I expect you to do as president.
That's what he said he was going to do.
Okay, there's a lot more of them. So right there, let's start with the criminals and then everybody else that's not supposed to be here, because go look up for yourself what the penalty is for being illegal in Mexico. Find out what they do to you there. And why not just make our laws commensurate with what they have? Because I guarantee what we're doing is a whole lot nicer than what happens there. So, I'll give Trump a thumbs up for that, for all the people that say I'm just being too mean to him. Okay, so here's another one. It's good news, but I'm going to throw a little caveat on it. Nebraska Nebraska moves to ban lab-grown meat, joins a growing push against fake food. Okay, so on the face of it, that seems like good news, right? But let me ask you, why do we feel like we got to ban everything? If you want to go buy crap burgers, then you should be allowed to buy it. I don't know why we got to ban it.
That's a good point. I mean, you should let the free market.
Let the market
operate.
decide. I mean, just like all these veggie burgers or the Impossible burgers, they're going out of business. Well, the market will decide. You don't need to ban it, because honestly, folks, if you're thinking that's a wonderful thing, well, that pendulum swings both ways. So they're banning something you don't like. And this is where I can't get Republicans to see, and no, I'm not a Democrat for anybody asking. This is where I can't get Republicans to see the whole picture. It's like when you want to legislate marriage, I remember when I was like, first of all, why? Okay, well, we want to legislate it so people don't start marrying horses and this and that. Or I'm like, first of all, why is government even in the business of marriage? Why do you want the government to legislate something? It ain't in the Constitution, okay? Got that. If a state wants to do it, okay. Well, there's something called the 9th and the 10th Amendments, okay? They got the right to do that sort of thing. But why do you feel like you need a national ban for everything?
Or why do you think that the state should be involved in your marriage? It shouldn't be. The state or federal, they shouldn't. They should be protecting our freedoms. That's it.
That's it, in a nutshell. So everybody going on about these bans, like they should ban this, they should ban that. No, I know we say it, I say it sometimes in tongue in cheek, but honestly, I'm not a big fan of bans. I'm all for letting the market decide. And you know what? If somebody goes out there and decides they want to drink bleach, there's nothing you can do about that. But honestly, I remember all those Republicans, well, we need a marriage amendment. I'm like, why do you even want them in there in the first place? Well, okay, so I don't care when you get down to brass tacks. I just can't even get my head around the idea of somebody wanting the government to have involvement in a marriage. And I don't care the nature of that relationship. And frankly, I don't think there should be tax benefits or, well, first of all, don't even get me started on taxes.
Let's not start on taxes. There should be none.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm with that. They should be, as the Constitution says, equally apportioned. But anyway, I better move away from that one. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad people are a little more awake. If you want to ban something, ban these chemtrails, because there's a difference. When I'm talking about a ban like that, folks, or ban water pollution, here's the difference on that, okay? It's called the tragedy of the commons. It means, okay, take for example, I live in a certain place, and upstream, there is a complete moron running his pigs in the stream that services every last one of us. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
On the other side of the loop. I'm like, okay, this person is a moron on legs. You are sitting here allowing your pigs to wallow in the water that everybody downstream has to use. Okay, that is a commons. We all need that. And this idiot is allowing his pigs to poop and do whatever else in that water. And and nobody complains. I mean, he's downstream of me, but I mean, it's just the idiocy of doing such a thing. Okay, so now there should be some legislation on something like that. Okay, same thing with the skies. Is anybody in this chat, because if you did, I'd like to know about it. Has anybody in this chat ever given the government at any level permission to dump garbage, barium, aluminum powder, whatever they're dropping from the sky, nanobots, you name it? Has anybody in this chat ever given them permission to do that? That is the commons. Okay, let's say you dropped it 5 miles from here, but it landed on my property. That is called the tragedy of the commons. Yes, we need legislation. We need bans on things like that. But when it comes down to personal choice and things like that, that's the demarcation point. Just to kind of put emphasis on that point. All right. So I want to thank everybody for joining us here tonight. Please, if you would, hit that thumbs up until I'm just going to get a water break here. And while we're doing that, we're going to go to my man, Eric Sider.
Hey, Eric Sider here with your Pimpcast tip of the day. Today's tip: if you build it, they will come. Jeff Lawton once asked Bill Mollison how he would know if he's doing the right thing. Bill said, resources will start to gather around you. It's important to keep an open mind about what comes your way, because it almost never happens as you'd expect, but it often is the best way forward. If you want to get a lot of things done in a short amount of time, you need to surrender a certain amount of control. This is something I struggle with daily. There is only so much one person can do, so you must decide how much you want to get done versus how much control you need to maintain. If you want something to happen, you need to start it. The surest way to never start anything is to constantly say, we should do this. Instead, say, I am going to do this. Will you help me? People are more likely to join something that has already begun than to start something themselves. And you will get some early adopters, but expect it to take at least a year for broader acceptance. A year of continuous effort demonstrates you are serious. And you must also decide if you're going to do something no matter what, or only if certain conditions are met. If you decide you will do something, no matter if you are doing it all by yourself, then you can focus on the most efficient action to achieve your goal. In my experience, the minute that you make that decision, help starts showing up immediately. You can find me on YouTube and Instagram at Eric Sider. If you're in need of permaculture t-shirts or remote permaculture consultation and design, head over to ericsider.com. And for those of you in the Sacramento area, check out my permaculture community group, permaculturefairoaks.org.
Bam, that's my dog right there. Yeah, it's been a while since we got a download of wisdom from Eric, and he's absolutely right. But in this particular place, it depends on who's gathering around you, because that can be a double-edged sword too. You may actually have some of these folks show up. Like, for example, they wanted to send out, there was a place that sent out a couple of, quote, apprentices, okay? They came out here, and that's why you're already laughing.
There's so many examples that I'm laughing at.
Yeah. They sent out a couple of apprentices. The one guy seemed like he had it kind of halfway together, but the other kid shows up in Velcro shoes and a fanny pack. Yeah, and you're going to come do farm work in Velcro shoes and a fanny pack. And it ended up being funny because my niece, she's out there. The second she saw that little purple-haired sucker, And she knows me. She's like, oh, she's just laughing as she's walking out of the door to go
As
to work.
she's leaving, like, I'm getting out of here.
She's just busting up, and she sees this dude like high stepping across instead of just walking. He's like high stepping across the pasture, and every 10 seconds, this kid's saying, "Man, this is a lot of work. This is a lot of work." And I said, "Kid," and so
Margie.
Can't tell his name, Michelle.
Philly.
Yeah. Anyway, this little freakazoid. Yeah, it depends on some of the help. So you're gonna have to tell some people to get loose or get lost. That's how it works. But anyway, EMP Shield, $50 off with promo code PERMA. Look, been a journeyman electrician for a long, long time. And look, things get stupid. And it looks like they might. But anyway, if they get stupid, anything downstream is protected for 25 G's at empshield.com. Promo code PERMA will get you $50 off of whatever you purchase over there. All right, let's get into the main part here. And this is where I'm expecting. And like I said, folks, if you're new coming in right now, can you hit the thumbs up? Tells them to immediately start suppressing us. Look, I was just talking about how we want legislation, or we want to be told or ban this and that. But on the flip side of that, I can't help but notice how many times we're outsourcing our own lives. And I mean in just about every way imaginable. Now work with me here. In terms of our food, okay? I mean, you tell me you don't outsource your food. I mean, when I was growing up, honestly, I could probably count on one hand the number of times we ever ate out. How about y'all?
Yeah.
How many times? You probably know
less
for sure.
than 5.
Okay. Yeah. What's that?
What
for?
are you about to say?
No, I'm saying
mind what you're gonna say, because it goes right back in your direction too.
Where you hayseeds were,
okay.
it was out in the boonies. So I mean, what I'm saying is we didn't live in the same kind of place, and everything was basically done at home. And there was some kids that ate out all the time. It just wasn't us. And it didn't happen very often. But now, fast forward to modern time. In fact, when I was a kid, I never tasted real candy. I'm dead serious. The only candy I ever had in my life, when my mom and dad were locked away in prison, the only candy I ever had in my life, because we were raised by my grandma for a while, was homemade candy that she made out of molasses. I never had store-bought candy until I was about 10 years old, or I think I was 9. So, things have changed, obviously. And then growing up, I remember thinking back as we're raising William, and he's young, and I couldn't believe how many times we would eat out or whatever. And I was like, man, this is crazy, because we never did this when I was a kid. It just never happened. But think about where it is right now. We outsource the food we have for most of us, okay? I mean, think about it. You go to work. And when you sit here and just kind of do the math on how much money you blow at work eating out, I mean, it's crazy. It is absolutely nuts. I always brought my lunch. And it was those little ways like that where you can just save $1 or $2, or, well, $10 or $2, But think about how much we do that these days. It's just easier to buy convenience food, go through most people. And I'm not criticizing folks. Look, I know folks do what they got to do. But I was just telling Michelle, I was like, man, I was passing all these folks. When we shop, it's always in the outer aisles, okay? We weren't always this way, but this is where we are. We got to get something, maybe some vegetables that we don't have, or some milk, or whatever the case may be. It's usually almost all in the outer aisles, okay? And then you look at everybody else's cart. I see a guy hobbling around, man. He's got a whole cart full of Coke. And I'm like, okay, well, that's the result of outsourcing. And I'm with Michael Pollan on this, and I agree with him. He says you should be allowed to eat anything you want as long as you make it. So making homemade soda, is that a better alternative? Yes. And does it taste better? Yes. Any day of the week, in my view. Folks, I'm going somewhere with this. Healthcare. Okay. I'm sitting here telling everybody in this audience a little while ago about Dr. Jack Kruse, Kruse, by the way. And he's a world famous brain surgeon. And he said his real claim to fame, what he wants to be known for, is doing brain surgery without a scalpel. Basically, figuring out how to avoid him altogether in decentralized medicine. But most of us, when we get an ailment, what do? We go to the hospital, we go to the doctor. Whatever they tell us, we don't even question it. Oh, put this thing in your arm. 9 times out of 10 we'll do it. I think in this latest round, it was 70%. I used to be one of those people. She, to a lesser extent, much lesser extent, because she wasn't raised in that paradigm. When you guys got sick, what did you do? You usually went to a chiropractor, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So in my case, it wasn't that way. So that took some doing. But in terms of our health, they tell you got high blood pressure. They hand you some pills. You don't even question it. And then when you look at the people of like Dr. Artis, which I'll be interviewing next month, when you look at what's in those blood pressure pills, you should be asking yourself the next question. How do I get rid of what caused the high blood pressure in the first place?
Or do I even have it? Because they're changing the standards now to what used to be normal and acceptable is now suddenly an emergency.
Right. And at the end of the day, no matter what they tell us, we think just because a person has MD behind his or her name that they got a better share of common sense than us. Folks, I got news for you. I have known a lot of doctors over the years, and most of them are walking nincompoops. And a few of them think MD stands for medical deity. And I'm telling you, I met some of the dumbest human beings I've ever met in my life were medical doctors. I kid you. Am I wrong?
No.
Nope.
No.
And she can vouch for that.
They're good at regurgitating information, but not thinking.
Right. So why am I going to take my marching orders for my health from a person 9 times out of 10? If you look at the study of Dr. Wallach, the average lifespan of most doctors, ain't that impressive. So do you want to be taking your marching orders from them? What about your retirement? Okay, in so many different cases, we go out here, we work our jobs, this economy is not what it was for your parents, okay, or mine either, where the paradigm was you go work at a place, you stick around for so long, then you get a pension, you retire at 65, and then you go off into the sunset. I don't know if you're paying attention, but that ain't going to happen. In fact, I would bet $1 to donuts by the time I get to, quote, retirement age, which I don't believe in retirement anyway. I am bitterly opposed to it. We'll see what that retirement age winds up being. I bet it's going to wind up getting kicked up to 75 before too long. Mark my words. They're going to have to. Unless they get rid of some excess carbon. And by the way, you're the carbon they want to reduce. But anyway, when it comes to things like retirement, we believe that Social Security, that net is going to be there for you, and it should. But you're dealing with liars and crooks that are in charge of all that. So if you worked on a plan B, remember I was talking about a little at the top of this program, the first thing I brought up was Shelley at Hickory Ridge Farm. You know what? You're looking for a side gig, one that you could probably work for cash. Come to one of my butchery classes. Learn the craft. It doesn't have to be that. It can be any number of things that maybe you got a little side hustle that you just love to do, that maybe it puts a little bit of money in your pocket. Something that maybe in your older years you might be able to do or teach classes and get other people to turn on. Maybe it's something like off the beaten path. Whatever the case may be, we still outsource our lives, whether it's food, health, retirement. What about freedom? Yep. Same exact thing. I don't want to have this go on too long, so I'm just going to kind of condense things. When it comes to politics, it's the same exact thing. Well, I'm a Republican. I'm a Democrat. And you just kind of fall in line. And you're letting somebody else do your thinking for you. Look, I love these ones that tell me, well, I'm not political. Well, folks, I got news for you. You're either an activist or an inactivist. Either way, you're involved. Whether you like it or not, you are fundamentally involved. And it's always going to be that way. So you might as well at least put a hand in it and find out, okay, what are they doing so I can extricate myself from this system? Or maybe they're doing something I like. Maybe I want to be a champion for it. Okay, you're not into politics, but how much do you hate these chemtrails are dropping from the sky right now? Okay, do you think the politics is a leverage point to get that to come to an end? Absolutely. I mean, because that's where the levers of power are coming from. It's coming through somewhere. I mean, we don't know exactly who's calling the shot. I'm guessing it's Department of Defense. But when you get down to brass tacks, it's all done through a political structure. Here's one that's really near and dear to my heart. And folks, it's education. I remember when Facebook first got out, before I got off of it, I remember coming across all the high school teachers that I had that I once had the highest regard for back in the day. And then I look at the idiotic nonsense that I saw them posting on Facebook, and I was like, I can't believe I ever had any respect for these people. Well, it was because I was a child at the time. I was a kid or whatever. Only to find out that all these high school teachers that were on Facebook were flipping morons, which doesn't say a whole lot for me because I was taught by them. These people were complete nincompoops. So why on earth are we outsourcing our education? Let's say you have to go through the compulsory system, compulsory education. When you do that sort of thing, okay, you don't have a whole lot of say in the matter. Or, if we learned anything over the last couple of years, it's that we can decentralize this and it can be done at home. So when you're in that structure and you get out of it, you now have a choice. Okay, am I going to stay with this programming they put into me, or am I going to find out what the truth really is? And Mark Twain has written extensively about this sort of thing in terms of education. Folks, when I was in high school, this, as embarrassing it is for me to admit, I didn't read a single book the entire time I was in high school. I kid you not. The first book I ever read, I was in the Army. Yeah, the first book I ever read, I was actually in Panama. I can tell you exactly where. I was at Fort Sherman in Panama when I read my first book. I was absolutely hooked. Absolutely hooked. Couldn't believe that I'd gotten through an entire high school and never read an entire book. I mean, parts of it, but never read the whole thing from cover to cover. But then after that, it created a voracious learner out of me because I was like, okay, if I could learn this much out of one book, what am I going to be if I read 10? What about 20? What about 100? And there was a time I couldn't put them down. It's what I love to do most. And honestly, these days, it's what I get to do least. And then I'm thinking, okay, well, they taught me to read word by word by word, just like you learned, right? Okay, well, and when I took my education in my hands, I learned the trifocus reading method. Now I read 3 times faster than I ever did. And then I did Jim Quick's program, and I read even faster than that. So I'm learning at an accelerated rate because where they screwed up in school is that they teach you to read each word individually. You ever notice when you read a book, you say the words in your mind as you do it? Well, what the trifocus reading method teaches you to do is that you read in thirds of a line. It's more than I can get into right now, but folks, the point being is that I had to self-educate. I didn't know what the trivium was. I didn't know what a classical education was. I had to teach myself that. And then I taught my son how to use grammar, logic, and rhetoric. And then it empowers you along the way. This, folks, there's a reason I'm spending so much doggone time on this. We are outsourcing everything in our lives, our healthcare, all of it. Why do you think I spend so much time talking about biohacking? Because I'm well aware of the fact that they are trying to poison our minds, poison everything about us. And like I said, there ain't a whole lot of money in Social Security, so they got to get rid of that extra carbon, if you know what I'm talking about. And the only way you're going to get ahead of any of this is through education. I mean, and then think about the stupidity. I remember, there's a book on the shelf down there. It's the Letters from Robert E. Lee. One of my favorite. If I had a list of 5 people I'd love to meet, Robert E. Lee, believe it or not, would be one of them. And I'll maybe talk about that at another time as far as the other people I'd like to meet as well. Anyway, if you just read the prose, or you read letters home from guys that were in the South that had a 4th grade education during the Civil War, they had to be highly educated because you had to convey a lot of meaning with very few words and very limited resources. We look at a pen and pencil as pretty ubiquitous these days, but it wasn't that way back then. So they had to convey a whole lot with very few words. And so when you read those and you're thinking, okay, these were highly intelligent people. Think about it. A college education back then, you would go to college to learn advanced Latin and Greek. Now we go to college to learn remedial math, remedial English, for crying out loud. So this goes right back to what I'm talking about in terms of, there's a point where you might have to be a part of this system, but there's also a point in everything I cited up until now to where you can take the bull by the horns. Same thing with the child rearing. You know what? I know that everybody is not able to homeschool. I get that. Your husband may have run off with a go-go dancer. I don't know what the situation may be. Or you just may be in financial straits. I don't know what the nature of your situation may be. But the best education I got was sitting around the dinner table from, a mom and dad that were convicted felons. Mostly my dad. But I kid you not, it gave me at least a framework of questions to ask. And even though my dad was not an educated man in that sense, he was street smart. He was absolutely street smart. Learned a whole lot right there. So when it comes to this outsourcing our lives, I want to move into something else, because honestly, people think they're taking me to the woodshed because of some of the things I've said as of late about Trump. Folks, I'm not even going to kid you. Some of you folks, it's bordering on the edge of idolatry. It really is. If a person can be critical of somebody you like, and you can't seriously assess what that person's saying, and you're writing letters like, I'm not going to watch you anymore. What are you, a Democrat? Or did you vote for Biden? Or, okay, where was all this criticism when I was coming down on like a ton of bricks on Biden? I called that dude everything but a child of God and got almost no criticism. But now all of a sudden, I'm bringing up points that are irrefutable regarding Trump. And like I said, folks, I've had kid gloves up until now. I really have. And some of you folks, you have outsourced your thinking to follow some guy that honestly, if you knew him well enough, you may not even let him in your own house. I mean, is he a good dude? I don't know. I don't know the man. And neither do you. But I do know this. Well, I'm looking at the people that were at this inauguration. Was there anybody, a single person in that crowd you can relate to? That's a rhetorical question, because the answer is a resounding no. Because when I looked around there, what I saw was a bunch of oligarchs from the tech community. I saw a bunch of suck-ups and bow-downs. That's what I saw. The only person in that entire crowd that I could even marginally relate to was Joel Salatin. And I don't know how well he fed into that crowd. The things I brought up were like, hey, thank you so much for the $2 billion you gave us. But you guys, I know how it works at the Fed. You're printing this money anyway, so why didn't you just print the $58 billion? And then it is irrefutable, you're handing this money off to oligarchs who are already bought and paid for. They were your worst enemy before you got into office. Now they're your best friends. They're at your inauguration. I didn't get an invite. Neither did some of your most ardent supporters out here. Folks, what I'm trying to get at here at this point is, if you don't stay on these people, this is exactly what what is happening, what you see unfolding is exactly what I predicted months ago. I said, as soon as he gets sworn in, half of you people are going to go right back into the matrix. And that's exactly what you did, because you outsourced your own critical thought. You've outsourced everything and said, okay, well, Trump's in there, back to the suburbs. Yeah, you were gone country. Yeah, you went all Alan Jackson when Democrats were in office, and then you're going to go right back into the matrix now that Trump's in office. Even though from the very outset, the guy is already going back on 50% of what he said, and that's being charitable.
Well, and also it's not just going back on what he said, it's what he never said that now he's doing. Like with the vaccine,
That's a very good point.
He never apologized and never said anything about Operation Warp Speed. He didn't say anything, which was concerning, but now it all makes sense because he comes out with an mRNA cancer vaccine. I'm like, oh, Now I know why you didn't say anything, because you had the intent all along to push more garbage on us.
How furious would people have been? Folks, read The Prince by Machiavelli, okay? Read that book, and you're going to see the script play out right in front of you right now. And what I'm saying is we outsource everything we have, and everybody is outsourcing your own common sense just because some cult of personality is holding the White House. And everybody went right back in the matrix, just like I said you were going to do. And if you don't keep these people's feet to the fire, you're going to see how far they will take it, because everybody just did this better than the previous idiot. Yeah. Okay. Well, here's your opportunity, because if this guy really intends to do anything, it's who's loudest in his ear. So, and then the responses, I mean, are just absolutely appalling. Like, well, it's better than $750. You're missing the whole point. Or how about, here's the one I like. He's only been in office 6 days. You just proved my point. You just proved my point. He's in office 6 days, and where were you on that continuum of importance? The very bottom. If he's in there 6 days, and the first thing he does, one of the first thing he does is give $500 billion, which, yeah, where's that money coming from? You're going to give it to oligarchs to create the next enslavement panopticon? Yeah, folks. I mean, so for those of you that are now my worst enemy because I'm coming down on this guy, I'm like, okay, here's another one. I'll give you a prime example. Okay, back when I was in the Army, when I shot 40 out of 40 on the range, I remember being so happy with myself. And I remember as soon as I got up out of that foxhole on the range, and man, I'm thinking, okay, cool. Yeah, this is great, man. I shot 40 out of 40. And I remember this sergeant, and I thought he was jealous at the time, and he might have been, but it doesn't negate what he told me. He says, that was some good shooting there, Bond. I said, well, thank you, Sergeant. And he says, I got to ask, when the 300-meter target popped up and a 50-meter target popped up, you shot at the 300-meter first. Why'd you do that? I said, well, because, I got to take careful aim on it. He says, well, you're not thinking like a soldier, because which one poses the greater threat? And I remember walking out of there irritated because I just thought he was jealous. Years later, I never forgot it because I knew he was right. He was absolutely right. So why am I going to shoot at a 300? If this was real life, you would never shoot at a 300-meter target when you have somebody that's a much greater threat because they are closer to you. So I posed the same exact thing to Trump. Okay. They're like, well, he can't just shut down all the chemtrail spraying and stuff. And he's only been there 6 days. Well, okay, well, where's your list of priorities? Then your priorities are out of whack if it's not one of the first things you do, because we're being poisoned from the sky. You're telling me giving $500 billion to a bunch of oligarchs is more important than stopping the bloodletting? Like Dane Wiggins and saying, you can't even, look, there isn't even microbes in Northern California in certain places, okay? They don't even have decomposition happening in the woods because of all this junk they're spraying from the sky. And you think you're going to come down on me? You're also blocking out the sun. It's not just a one part thing that they're doing. It's a couple different parts. And the blocking out the sun is what concerns me the most. Yeah, well, the larger point that I'm making here is that when it comes to this guy, folks, look, sometimes you need a kick in the pants, okay? And I know, if I'm out there looking for subscribers and stuff like that, this is not the show you want to do. But since when on earth have I ever give a damn about any of that? I haven't before, and I'm not now. Look, the people that watch me, they know that I'm going to tell you the truth, whether you want to hear it or not. And some of you folks are bordering on idolatry when it comes to this guy. If he is right, you give him a thumbs up. When he's wrong, you give him a thumbs down. And he is a politician, just like everybody else. And because you have outsourced, coming back to the central message here, because you have outsourced your critical thought, your brain no longer works when it comes to him. I've never seen anything like it. Well, actually, I predicted this. I told you this would happen. And it's happening because he's better than Biden. And then all the idiots on TikTok are saying, Oh, well, it's who did you vote for? Biden? First of all, I don't even know how many of these people are even real. Folks, just quit outsourcing your critical thought regarding all these things. What did I talk about? Your food. Take one thing. Grow it in a windowsill. Grow some microgreens. Grow some mushrooms. Healthcare. Is there any? Go out there. Get yourself some of these red glasses. Start something small. Go to bed early. Go on time. Put the phone down. Your retirement. Get a little side hustle. Your freedom. What are the things you're doing that are going to take you away from that tether that you're currently tied to? And in terms of politics, don't tell me you're not. Everything is driven by politics if you live in this country. Everything. So you're involved. So go out there, put foot to butt, and in fact, call your representative, whoever. I don't care who you got to call. Get involved. Even if it's just a little bit. I mean, it takes a second. Put down a computer or whatever you're doing, and then just write to these people. Say, look, I am pissed off of what you people are doing with these chemtrails. Put an end to it. And you said something about it earlier. You were like, man, I thought it would at least stop a little bit when he got in, because that's exactly what happened. Alex Jones even talked about it, as bought and paid for as he is these days. I mean, Trump can do no wrong in his book. And even Alex Jones noted that the first thing that happened in the first Trump administration is that for a solid week, all the chemtrails went away. But you were saying something.
No, I was just saying that I was hoping that it would stop. But it clearly hasn't.
It ramped up.
Right.
If anything, it's gotten worse. In fact, when I put up a community thing, last time I looked, there was 100 responses to a community note on YouTube regarding the chemtrails. Everybody, everywhere, all over this planet. I've never seen such an outpouring of people that are saying the same exact thing. But folks, if you are not in the ear of Trump and all the other people that are out there, this is why I'm being so critical, okay? There's a method in the madness. Have no fear on that score. There's a reason I'm being so critical. A, I did not outsource my critical thought, nor will I. And if you have got, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So if it's Wall Street oligarchs that are squeaking the most, that's where he's going to give his attention. If it's you and me doing it the most, that's where he's going to give his attention. Not that I'm really believing that he's not a puppet just like all the rest of them, because like I said, I'm from Missouri, Jack. You're going to have to show me. I see a bunch of swamp creatures in most of your cabinet picks. I'm seeing a bunch of things, but for some reason, everybody's unwilling to see it because you've outsourced your politics. You've outsourced everything. Folks, look, I'm not going to, I guess I belabored that point too much, but the point is, I can't think of a more critical time in U.S. history, because right now, you're more vulnerable now, most of you folks in the sound of my voice, than you were when Biden was in. You don't believe me? I can prove it in a nutshell. Because as I predicted months ago, most of you let down your guard. You're thinking, oh, Trump's in there, everything's all good. Back to the Matrix. And sadly, that's where most people are going. All right, y'all. I want to thank the Homestead Honey for joining me tonight. I want to thank everybody out there for all your wonderful comments. And I'm sorry I can't read really much of anything with these glasses in the chat. But for real, y'all, I want you to seriously think about where those points are in your life you're outsourcing. And if you're outsourcing the White House to a single man who can easily be corrupted, I think you're making a very profound mistake. All right, y'all. Hopefully that was a blessing to you. Till next time, stay alert, stay alive.
They don't want an individual, just a carbon copy. You spitting that manicotti, yeah, I'm talking saucy. All they want to build is a prison world full of pet Tamagotchis. The kamikaze got me out of body like I'm Goku SS3. They want to push me to the center like a cell. They want to spin up at the center of the nexus, me. They want me to bow down, but I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. I will never bow down, 'cause I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. They want me to bow down, but I'm a warrior.